In the heart of the vast and mysterious Amazon rainforest, where sunlight filtered through layers of emerald leaves and the air hummed with life, there existed a world older than memory itself. Towering trees stretched toward the heavens like ancient guardians, their roots gripping the earth as if holding the forest together. Rivers wound through the land like silver serpents, nourishing everything they touched. Birds painted the sky with flashes of color, insects sang their endless songs, and every breath of wind carried the whispers of centuries past. Within this living, breathing kingdom lived a majestic elephant named Amar. Amar was not merely large in size, though his massive body alone commanded awe. His skin bore the marks of time, deep creases etched by years of rain, sun, and struggle. His ivory tusks curved outward like ancient crescents, worn but strong. His eyes, dark and thoughtful, reflected a depth of understanding rarely found among animals. Those who looked into them felt an unspoken calm, as if the forest itself was gazing back at them. From a young age, Amar had been different. While other young elephants played loudly in the riverbanks or tested their strength against one another, Amar listened. He listened to the rustling leaves, to the warnings of birds, to the low hum of the earth beneath his feet. Elders of the herd noticed this and often said, "This child hears what others cannot." Amar had been raised by the oldest matriarch of the herd, a wise elephant named Mahira, who had survived droughts, floods, and encounters with humans. From her, Amar learned that true strength did not lie in force alone but in understanding, patience, and responsibility. "The forest gives us life," Mahira once told him as they stood near a river at sunset. "And one day, Amar, it will ask something of you in return." Amar never forgot those words. As years passed, Amar grew into his strength, and with it, his purpose became clear. When conflicts arose between animals, Amar mediated. When floods threatened nesting grounds, he helped move the vulnerable to higher land. When drought struck, he remembered hidden water sources and guided others safely to them. Slowly, without ceremony or declaration, Amar became the guardian of the rainforest. Animals trusted him instinctively. Deer lowered their heads respectfully as he passed. Monkeys ceased their mischief when he approached. Even predators like jaguars and anacondas acknowledged him with quiet respect. Amar never demanded loyalty, it was freely given. Each morning, Amar walked the forest paths, his heavy steps measured and gentle. Despite his size, he moved carefully, ensuring not to crush smaller plants or creatures beneath him. His presence brought reassurance, like a steady heartbeat echoing through the jungle. But the forest was changing. Amar sensed it before he saw it. The birds' songs became anxious. The ground trembled unnaturally at times. Strange scents, oil, smoke, metal, crept into the air. The forest, which had always spoken to him, now whispered warnings. One afternoon, guided by instinct, Amar ventured into a remote and rarely traveled part of the jungle. The canopy grew thicker here, blocking much of the sunlight. Vines hung like curtains, and the air felt heavy with silence. As he pushed aside thick foliage, Amar discovered a hidden grove, a place of rare beauty. A clear stream flowed through the center, surrounded by flowering plants and ancient trees. It was a sanctuary untouched by time. But it was not empty. From the shadows emerged a family of jaguars, a mother and her two cubs. Their golden eyes gleamed with caution, and their bodies tensed at Amar's arrival. Jaguars were proud creatures, known for their strength and independence. Amar stopped immediately and lowered his head slightly, a gesture of peace. "I mean no harm," his calm presence seemed to say. The jaguar mother studied him carefully before relaxing her stance. She approached slowly, her movements cautious but resolute. Through soft growls and body language, she conveyed her distress. The grove, their home, was in danger. Nearby, humans had begun cutting trees. The jaguars had heard the roar of machines and felt the tremors in the earth. Their hunting grounds were shrinking, and soon, there would be nowhere left to raise their cubs. Amar felt a deep ache in his chest. This was what Mahira had warned him about. The forest was calling. Amar followed the signs until he found the source of the disturbance. At the edge of the forest, humans had arrived with towering machines that roared like angry beasts. Trees that had stood for centuries fell in moments, crashing to the ground with devastating force. Smoke rose into the sky, and the scent of destruction filled the air. Animals fled in fear. Birds abandoned nests. Smaller creatures hid wherever they could. Amar stood still, watching. He knew that force alone would not solve this. Violence would only bring more destruction. Instead, he turned away, carrying a plan within his thoughtful mind. That night, under a moonlit sky, Amar called the animals together. Elephants gathered first, followed by deer, monkeys, birds, jaguars, tapirs, frogs, and even insects whose buzzing formed a constant hum. Never before had so many species gathered in one place. Amar stood at the center, silent until the forest itself seemed to lean in. Our home is in danger, his presence communicated. But we are not helpless. Together, we are strong. He explained the threat, not with fear, but with clarity. He spoke of unity, of shared responsibility, of standing together without hatred. Inspired by Amar's calm strength, the animals agreed. They would protect their home, not with violence, but with unity. At dawn, the animals moved. Elephants formed a living wall along the forest's edge, their massive bodies blocking the paths used by the machines. Deer and boars occupied the clearings. Monkeys swarmed the trees above, shaking branches and dropping harmless debris. Birds filled the sky, their cries echoing like alarms. The loggers arrived, shocked by the sight. They tried to scare the animals away, but the forest did not yield. Amar stood at the front, unmoving, his gaze steady. There was no aggression in his eyes, only resolve. Days passed. The animals held their ground. The machines remained silent. News spread, and humans from nearby villages came to see the spectacle. Some began to question the logging operation. Others felt something stir within them, a forgotten respect for nature. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Amar stepped forward alone. He approached the humans slowly, deliberately. His massive form commanded attention, but his calm demeanor eased fear. Through gestures, presence, and patience, Amar communicated what words could not. This forest was alive. It was home. And it deserved respect. Moved by the sight and supported by growing public pressure, the logging leaders halted their operation. Environmental groups intervened. Authorities stepped in. The machines were withdrawn. The forest was saved. When the humans left, the rainforest erupted in celebration. Birds sang joyfully. Monkeys danced through the branches. Even the jaguars emerged proudly from the shadows. Amar did not celebrate. He simply returned to his walks, his duty fulfilled. From that day on, Amar became more than a guardian, he became a symbol. Mothers told their young about the elephant who stood for everyone. Elders spoke of unity and courage. The forest thrived once more. Under Amar's watchful eye, balance was restored. And as long as the rivers flowed and the trees touched the sky, the spirit of the Amazon lived on, protected by the wisdom of one noble elephant who understood that true power lies not in domination, but in care, courage, and unity. Don't forget to subscribe our channel.